So you mentioned that people are programmable, and then you said once you know that, you can then choose the foods you eat. So this is fascinating. I want to go into the food topic actually, because this is something that I've recently stumbled across. I'm obviously British, and in the UK, the food's all right there. A lot of the way the food is processed in the US is actually illegal
Right.
in the EU.
And you can tell when I've traveled in Europe, it's much better.
Oh, well, I can tell. I was here for 3 months at the end of 2021, and my body blew up. Like, I literally put on so much weight. I was still hungry. I wasn't overeating. I put on so much weight. And now I've hired a nutritionist, and now I'm back in the US and I'm fine. But I didn't realize what goes on with the food here. I had no idea.
This is another interesting aspect of the Bitcoin rabbit hole, because you start seeing through the fiat illusion. And again, not just money, not just law. It's also, like, I would argue, food and culture. The food thing's interesting. The biggest one that I'm on now is seed oils.
Yep, everyone's on seed oils.
They're in everything with a label. Even the healthy snack crackers or almond butter bar or whatever healthy food you think you're eating, it probably has seed oil in it. So,
and what's wrong with seed oils?
I'm not well versed enough to sit here and lay out a scientific explanation of what's wrong, but I can relate my personal experience. So, when I was in my 20s, I used to feel very robust and healthy, I think, as most of us do. As I got to 30, I started to have issues and whatnot. I'm now 36 today. I cut out seed oils probably 8 to 12 months ago, pretty seriously. I mean, I was already experimenting with carnivore a couple of years prior to that, so I'd kind of like accidentally cut out seed oils before I really knew about them. And I guess the gist of what's wrong with them is when you cook or consume these oils that are not naturally occurring, right? They're compressing a lot of oil or taking a lot of seed to make a little bit of oil. Our body doesn't deal with it well. It causes negative things. There's a lot of Twitter accounts you can go follow and research and all that to get more information. For me personally, I went from one of the main things I noticed, I could barely stand 15 minutes of sunlight, like direct sunlight. Like I would start to get just feel burnt, right? I needed to get out of the sun. I've been living in Hawaii the past 14 months. When I got real serious on this, really just eating beef, salt, fruit, raw milk, and we cook everything at home, like there's no seed oils, don't eat out, don't mess around at all. I started being able to go into the sun for just hours and hours and hours, and I wouldn't really get burnt. I mean, I'd go surf like all day.
With sun cream on or no sun cream?
No sun cream.
Really?
Yeah. And then I've always had sort of dry skin, like on my arms and face, so I've always had to put moisturizer on. Stop needing to do that. I've had different kinds of inflammation, like in my joints, around my nose, things like this. All that started to go away. Gut inflammation, not feeling well, like all that went away. So it's been quite transformative for me, and it really is that simple. Like I tried a lot of interventions before I got into this diet thing, but just eating the foods that we've been eating for millions of years turns out to be pretty good for you.
Yeah, we've been eating meat as well.
Right. We're adapted to it. So the diet, the diet I was having was a frozen berry raw milk smoothie in the morning. And then I was
When you say raw milk, what do you mean?
Raw milk.
Like cow's milk?
Straight from the cow.
Oh, straight from the cow.
Yeah, we had a provider in Kauai, which I don't even think it's legal to drink raw milk. So we had a provider in Hawaii. We go and pick it up once a week. It's delicious.
But how's the cow fed and raised?
They are just organic.
Yeah.
I don't know if they eat grass or grain, but they're just free range cows in Hawaii. So, so make the smoothie, and then lunch, dinner was basically just beef and salt. I would also mix in some sauerkraut and other fermented foods occasionally. All that did well for me, but it's good. It improved a lot of things that were going wrong in my 30s. So I highly recommend studying about seed oils, studying about the carnivore diet. And And it's not just carnivore, because carnivore is like just beef and salt.
Right.
Like, again, having fruit and whatnot added to this. They call it the abundance diet. There's actually a friend of mine, Paul. He's at Carnivore MD on Instagram.
Okay.
He's a doctor. He talks about all this. There's like a spectrum, right? Where meat and organs were the most desired foods, then fruit, then vegetables, then grains, legumes, all of this. So there's a whole spectrum. And if you just focus on eating the healthy end of the spectrum, you tend to do better. And it's not one size fits all. We're all adapted to different things. We have different ancestral pathways. So you have to do some experimentation and figure out what works for you. But it changes everything in life once you get a hold of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because there is this push in society, again, in the media. There's more propaganda when it comes to your diet. And you mentioned eating bugs instead of meat.
Right.
And there's that film, I think it's called Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's delve into this. So why is that propaganda right now steering people away from meat? And I think I even saw maybe an article on Bloomberg or one of them, which was saying, you know, bugs are actually better for you than meat.
The one that really scared me is I saw a quote from Klaus Schwab, if I'm saying his name correctly.
Do you know what? Who cares if you're not saying it correctly?
The real life Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
And
real life James Bond villain.
Yeah. Basically saying we need to abolish, this is the head of the World Economic Forum, as I understand it. We need to abolish private property and stop eating meat. Like, this is one little quote of his. I'm not saying it exactly, but paraphrasing. The fact that someone that's the head of the World Economic Forum can blatantly say we need to abolish private property when an economy is not possible. You cannot have an economy without property. Property is your relation to the fruit of your labor that you then trade with others to produce the economy. When you have the head of the World Economic Forum saying we need no more property, that's not what he's saying. He's saying property for me, not for thee, right? Question that. Question that. Property is the basis of civilization. If there's an individual telling you we need to abolish private property, it's equivalent to saying we need to abolish civilization. Read Ayn Rand. Read Mises. Like, this is very cut and dry. And then, so that's scary and disgusting enough. But then they're saying, okay, and we also need to stop eating meat. Meat is the most desirous food. And we've literally been eating it for millions of years. Who is this guy that's been around for 80-something years to come on the scene, or his organization, whatever, and tell us what we should eat? I mean, it's one of the most scary specters of freedom violation I can imagine, to try and dictate by fiat what you eat.